Greetings, everyone. This is Melek Shalama of Melek Shalama Capital LLC. Right now, I'm gonna do a trade recap today. Today is the 18th of February, 2026. It's 11:38 a.m. Eastern Time, and right now, I'm gonna demonstrate a strategy I'm developing. It's called the Black Sun strategy, which is basically a mean reversion strategy at some pivot resistances, and we take short trades coming back into the mean and possibly actually breaking down. So we're using Wyckoff principles, right? So I'm going to point out here, we have a uptrust level. That's the high right there. The buying climax is this level here on volume as it pushes up to these levels here, right? We have some heavy volume coming in, responsive buyers, so the volume is heavy at the buying climax level. And then we have the automatic reaction, which pulls price back down to this level here, right? So let me just do that over, take this off, right? So buying climax, not this one, but right, this is the buying climax. That's the automatic reaction. We get some tests above this level. This comes to be the uptrust level, and we still haven't gotten the breakdown of the automatic reaction, retests for LPSY, and further continuation to the downside, right? So let me walk you through this this setup. So what we have here, let me just bring this across. This is a checklist that I use for my strategy, right? So let me just put that into perspective a little bit. Right. So first thing we're looking for is higher time frame Wyckoff distribution, which is in a phase D distribution cycle right now, right? So what that basically means is we're kind of at the end of a distribution on the daily chart, right? So I don't have the daily chart up right now, but just take my word for it. You could look at it if you follow the Wyckoff theory. You could look at it and see we're in phase D, right? So the weekly context and level support Black Sun playbook. This basically means that we're at a weekly Camarilla R3 level, 6906.25, and a weekly BC pivot, right? We're actually at a monthly Camarilla R3 level as well, so that's kind of supportive. And this is a weekly value area low level, weekly central pivot. So on the weekly pivot levels, we're kind of in the mean and the lower end of the value area, right? So they're pushing away from the mean, running into resistance, right? So even though on the daily here you're seeing this big buying through the resistance, right? This is higher time frame players probably operating on the concept of pushing price back above monthly Camarilla S3, right? So it's a supportive level. Buyers are reacting on a higher time frame, but on the weekly time frame, which is also higher time frame players, we could get responsive sellers. So this is what you're probably seeing, or what I'm probably seeing as a potential intraday setup for the Black Sun strategy, right? So price at valid pivot and Wyckoff trade location, right? So that means that I'm able to label these as buying climax. This is the automatic reaction. Let me just use this. I'm able to label these from the order flow. This is a test, right? And this is the uptrust, right? Now, let's see. Order flow is above first VWAP upper deviation. So we're going to go to the VWAPs, put the VWAPs on and the upper deviations, and let that populate for a second. And I'll show you what that means. I don't want this video to be too long, so hopefully Bookmap populates the VWAP and the deviations soon. And let me just start explaining as it populates, right? So basically the VWAP, this is ETH VWAP right here, right? That has already populated. So basically price is above the ETH VWAP, which starts at 1800 hours or 6 p.m. yesterday, right, when the market opens. And what you're gonna get is upper deviations around this level here from that this VWAP, right, that yellow line. So this white line here is London VWAP. So that starts at the open of the London session. So we basically see we have a VWAP kind of band right here around this level, and this is order flow is going to push into the upper deviations of the VWAPs, right? So I don't have upper deviations for ETH and London session. I only have it for RTH session. So we're waiting for that to populate, right? So so now we have these upper deviations here. Those are the dash lines. Let me just clear this up. Right, so that's first upper deviation, second upper deviation, and that's 2.5, right? So what we're looking for is price or order flow to push into the upper deviation levels and get rejected. So we're getting a rejection here of the 2.5 upper deviation. We get a test here of the second upper deviation, and then we get the push down here to the first upper deviation, right? So that's the criteria we're looking for. Order flow is above first VWAP upper deviation. So so we got that, right? Now we're looking for order flow touches or can't get to plus 2.5 VWAP upper deviation. We got that here, right? And then we can't get the push above the second upper deviation, right? So we're looking for aggressive buy sweeps totaling plus 100 contracts. So we're going to have to go over here. We throw on the sweeps, right? Let that populate there. Hopefully that populates soon. Right, so what we're looking for is buy sweeps into these Wyckoff levels that I've labeled here. So the buying climax, we want to see buy sweeps above this level here, or buy sweeps showing that we're actually, if you look here, you could actually see from this buy delta, price actually shoots through and we get a buy delta. Let's see, we have a sweep from 69.07 all the way to 69.10. So it's basically sweeping through 3 points of the price range, right? And then we have another little sweep right here of 69.11 to about 69.13.50, right? So that's what basically buy sweeps is. It's orders that push through price ranges, right? It sweeps the book. So hopefully that populates quickly. But anyway, we'll move on to iceberg sellers plus 100 contracts resistance at Wyckoff and pivot zone. So this is the pivot zone, Camarilla R4, floor pivot R1. We have the Wyckoff level of the buying climax into these levels, right? So we're looking for aggressive buy sweeps, iceberg sellers, right? So what we're going to do here is throw on the icebergs. Right, so what we have here, these green little sigils or little icons right there, 378. So you see it's above the 100 contracts. So coming up here, we have 378, 241, 198, 686, 914. So it's really sweeping. These are the contracts that are getting swept into this level, right? So we have the buy sweeps there. Let's pull this down a little bit. So this is the iceberg sellers. Right there we have 1181, 8 separate players right there. So that's iceberg sellers at this level, right? Iceberg sellers 105 at this level here, right? So we have the iceberg sellers. We have aggressive buy stop runs. So let's open this here so I can show you what a buy stop is. I have it also as green. That's it's a different icon. So you could notice that right there from this one, That's buy sweeps, and this one here is a buy stop run. So we have 336 contracts as a buy stop. As the buy delta volume does push up, we have buy stops coming out here. Buy stops 56, 116, 139, 163, right? So we have that. So what we're looking for, upside momentum gets absorbed by heavy liquidity on the ask, right? So if you look as price progresses up, we have heavy liquidity, right? Absorbing these buyers, absorbing these buyers, absorbing these buyers, absorbing these buyers, right? So we got that criteria is filled there. Upside momentum stalls on high buying delta plus 300 contracts. So let's see here. We have 1080, 255, 249, not quite 300, but we're getting the stall in this area, and price starts to pull back down to create the automatic reaction at this level, right? So we have the buy delta getting absorbed by the liquidity on the offer. Price stalls, sell delta takes control, and we get the automatic reaction, right? We have buy delta again. Let's see how much contracts. 709, 217, 141. Then we have a response of 211, and this is my trade. Hold on 1 second. Let's see, make sure my desktop audio is muted so you don't hear stuff like that. All right, so we have the criteria of the setup, right? We have the buying climax. We have VPI is also spiking to this buy side. So that's buying pressure as price stalls, right? So let's just point that out because that's one of the criteria of VPI and VP buy spikes at distribution and pivot levels. Distribution and pivot levels is around this area, right? And we have the buy spikes right there, right? Let's see, absorption sellers plus 100 contracts. So we do not have absorption sellers. Let me just make sure, right? So we don't have any absorption sellers here for me to show you. So we don't have that. Actually, wait, I did not put that on. Right, hold on 1 second. I thought that was strange. We would have absorption sellers here, right? So we're gonna throw something else on showing absorption. When that populates, I'll show you, right? So basically now, buying climax, right? We have criteria for the buying climax. We get the automatic reaction. We have iceberg buyers supporting at the automatic reaction level. We push back up, we get a little test slash up thrust, but it wasn't the real up thrust. But for this trade, we get a break above the buying climax level, which is this. We get a test slash up thrust. We get sell delta taking control after buying absorption. Enter the trade here. Sell entry at around, let's see, let me just be exact. 69.1425, right? So price breaks down a little bit, pulls back, retests the entry level, or basically where sellers took control. You see there's buying exhaustion there, no continuation. There's absorption basically, or there's capping of the order flow by the offer, right? So the offer has come in here. We still have a heavy offer right here, and the offer is capping the price. Price moves away, comes back, retests where it broke down from right here, which is basically my sell entry. And let's see here, right? So we get this rotation here. Price sells off to this first upper deviation, right? So that's the first upper deviation, dashed green line right there. And what we do get is we did not get to the automatic reaction level, and we got a bid coming in here supporting at this first upper deviation. What we also get is VPOC migrates to the upside right here we get sellers taking control, which was good for my trade, but then the VPOC migrates down to this level here where the sellers are in control, and then we get a rotation, right? So my trailing stop trails at 6 points, right? So my trailing stop here is moving down, right? And as buyers take it up off of VPOC and the first upper deviation, I get stopped out right there, right? So it's like a semi kind of break even trade, right? You can see that that's the PNL right there. And I'm using Apex evaluation accounts, so that automatically kind of says sim right there in Bookmap. So you can see that's Apex, and then the account number, you can't really see that right there, right? So those are eval accounts, and basically that's the trade right there. If the trade had moved the way it was supposed to move for it to progress properly, I would get a breakdown of the automatic reaction. Sellers would continue taking control. We'd run into this bid right here. We'd probably take that bid out, probably get a little bounce off of this bid, retest the automatic reaction, and have the offer come in here again, capping price like it did over here and over here, right? And then we get continuation to the downside, giving me an opportunity to actually add to the trade at the retest of this level here. So that's basically the Black Sun strategy right there. I don't want to make this too long. It's already 16 minutes in this video. So yeah, you can see those are my criterias right there for the Black Sun strategy setup. If you want, you can screenshot that, you can improve on it, you could get ideas from it and stuff like that. So these are my criterias for finding the Black Sun strategy, which is basically a mean reversion trade at some pivot level extremes like Camarilla R4, floor pivot R1, Camarilla R3. I also use these weekly levels like weekly Camarilla R3 and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the Black Sun strategy. It didn't work out this time. It was managed properly. And if I wanted to manually stop out, I could have stopped out around here when we regained and held above this level. Plus, price action kind of demonstrated that we held too much above Camarilla R4. All these are little nuances in the trade management that I can't really go into too much detail right here. It'll make the video a little too long. So there is nuances in this this setup, and let's just see where price action is at right now. All right, so what we're seeing here is that VPOC has migrated to this level, 69.1750. We have the breakdown of the buying climax looking like it's going to start, sellers are going to start holding below Camarilla R4 and these resistance levels. So this trade could actually still come back down to VWAP and mean revert to VWAP, and if the sellers are strong enough, they would actually break this 6900 bid. The bid here is 112 on the bid. Actually, it's about 310 right there. You can see it on the COB, right? About 310. So if sellers take control, break VWAP. This is London session VWAP. That's the ETH VWAP. So basically, that's the mean right there of the order flow so far. And that's when you could get like a bounce off of these levels, get a retrace back to the automatic reaction, even test the weekly Camarilla R3 level. And if sellers hold control, then we could get a breakdown like this, right? So it's basically hit this level, probably pierce down to this level here, start retracing, hit like about 69, or could even come back to this level and retest where sellers are gonna now probably take control, right? And then continue to the downside if sellers maintain that control. All right, y'all. So it's Melek Shalama. Y'all trade safe and stay blessed.